While we're waiting for everybody else to show up, I just want to introduce my team. And with me today, we have Nathan Newberg. I believe most of you know him by now. But if not, Nathan is our technical sales, and he also helps with, he wears multiple hats now that I think about it. He helps with implementation, support, several things. And then we have Laura Boer, and Laura is fairly new with our company, but she's coming in to help us with revenue strategy and customer success. So I am sure a lot of you will be hearing from her and her team. So with that, I am actually super excited about today's webinar because Acumatica has some really, really cool functionality when it comes to bank and credit card reconciliation and automation. And hopefully I can get all of you as excited as I am about bank rec. I mean, who would have known? What a nerd, right? So it's 11:02. We're just gonna go ahead and get started. So let me share the right screen. Can you guys see Acumatica? Okay, cool. So I have a little cheat sheet that I created for myself so I don't forget anything. I'm going to put it over here. So, and we'll go ahead and get started. So in Acumatica, if you go to banking, and we're going to start with the very basics, is how do I reconcile my bank statement? So when you get your bank statement, or in some cases, people do this on a daily basis when they log into their bank account and they go ahead and clear and reconcile the transactions that have gone through the bank. So one little tidbit I have separated. When you have a lot of bank accounts, this list can be monumental. Use the filters. This filter is really easy. Basically, say when the status equals on hold, then create a different, and then save it and call it current reconciliations or whatever. I'm going to set that as my default so that when I log into bank reconciliation, it takes me to my current reconciliations. I can always go to the other ones, but this is where I want to go when I first log into my bank rec. So then what we're going to do is most likely you would start from scratch a new one if you haven't done one. I already started one, so I'm going to pull it up. But I'm going to go over very simply what the different fields are and how to reconcile. And then we'll get into the corporate credit cards and the automation and importing of transactions. So, hello. This is taking a while. There we go. So the first you're going to do is you're going to pull in your cash account. Then the system will automatically create a reference number. We're going to enter the date of the reconciliation. In this case, I'm using demo data. So we're back in 2020, right here. And I'm going to reconcile as a 29. One real quick tidbit again, if you're doing daily reconciliations, if you're the kind of person that likes to go into the bank and see what cleared and keep this up to date, then if I only pull, let's say the 3rd of February, then all the transactions that I'm going to see here only go to the 3rd of February. So I don't have to look at all the other stuff that right now hasn't reconciled. So this makes it easier to reduce the amount of transactions that you guys have to see. Another thing, I like to sort by the reconciliation and sort ascending, because what that does is it only gives me those transactions that have not been reconciled. Anything that has been reconciled now sits at the bottom of the list. So anyways, I entered the date of my reconciliation, and I entered this is the balance that you get on the statement from the bank. Or if you're doing online banking, this is the balance that the bank account has today for your checking account or your savings account. Just be aware that if we're doing a credit card, that number is usually a negative number. So you would enter, let's say you owe $20,000 and that's the balance on your statement from American Express, you would enter a minus 20 because you owe that money. So I will answer questions later, but this is basically it. Just remember that you can always modify the layout and to whatever works for you, maybe. Come on. There we go. So I can always modify how I see the screen so it works for me. As we start clearing transactions, you can either clear them or you can go ahead and reconcile. When you reconcile, it's going to affect your total over here, and you can see the numbers getting smaller or bigger depending on what you did. And then when this becomes 0, then you can go ahead and finish your reconciliation. I'm going to leave it at that for now. Again, most of you are in customer care. If you have questions, please, please, please let us help you, because this is such an important part to keep your books and your bank records up to date, that there's no reason why not to do it. I'm going to deviate for a second and let me see and talk about how to create a corporate credit card. So I'm going to go into banking. I'm going to go into cash accounts. And yes, I'm going to leave that. And basically, a corporate credit card is another cash account in your system. In this case, we have this is demo data again. We have this 2,500, which is a corporate credit card account. I like to label my cash accounts with words instead of numbers. Here they're using the GL account. It's up to you guys what makes it easier or simpler. If you're doing multi-currency, then you need to tell the system how you're evaluating your multi-currency. The most important thing is to check the use for corporate credit cards and tell the system if you're going to be reconciling or not. So it requires reconciliation, and then this is the standard reconciliation sequencing number that comes with Acumatica. So I would use that unless there's a reason why you want to use something different. So very simple, just create a separate cash account. There's 2 things that you will also have to do. Number 1, you need to create a payment method, and I'm going to go there in a minute, and tell the system what modules of Acumatica you can use that payment method. And the other one is entry types. So in this case, we don't have any, but I believe in 1020, we have one. In this one, we have a couple. Disbursement, receipt, and so on. So these are different entry types that allow you to create payment transactions on the fly and have the right GL account and sub-account combination assigned to it. You also specify which modules you can use these entry types. So where do we create those entry types and the payment method? We're going to go to preferences, and not all of you will have access to this, so you may need to talk to your system administrator. Under payment methods, we're going to create your Visa, your American Express, your Discover, whatever that is. And then we're going to tell the system where can we use those payment methods. So as you can see, American Express is only used in AR, and Visa is Visa Corporate is used in AP, and is well, we don't use it in payroll, hopefully. So anyways, to create this, you're just going to hit the plus sign, give it a name, a description, whether it's a credit card or a cash checking account, and where are you going to use it. Very, very simple. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out and let us help you with this. So now the most exciting part. Acumatica has an awesome functionality that allows you to import transactions from your bank or from your American Express statement, and it will actually do one of things. It will match the transaction. It will, if the transaction exists in the file that you're importing, but it doesn't exist in Acumatica, you can look in your AP documents and see if there's an AP document that matches that amount, and it will actually create the payment for you. It will try to match any payments that are there that that may have they have not been associated with the bank account. And it will also, if you have, let's say, this is probably better for me to show you than to explain. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in. We can import bank transactions in four different formats. OFX, which is the Open Financial Exchange. QBO and QFX, they're Quicken and QuickBooks formats. And probably the most widely used format is Excel. So you can download your transactions, say from American Express, into an Excel spreadsheet and bring them in. So what I did is I created an Excel spreadsheet that I'm going to use today to illustrate what we can do. The first thing you're going to do, you're going to go import bank transactions. That's another little tips and tricks. I like to make favorites, not because I'm using the favorites menu, but because it gives me that visual of the little yellow star. So I can go to import bank transactions. And then once I'm here, I'm going to create the import. You can also import with an import scenario, but so in this case, I'm going to import into my checking account. And the statement date is going to be February 2020. We're a little behind on this database. And it actually starts on, where's 2020 here? It starts on the 1st, and hopefully you would never have to go this far behind. I'm going to turn off my email so we don't get distracted with all emails coming in. Okay. So now the ending balance here is the ending balance on your corporate credit card or your bank statement. In this case, my ending balance is 71,034,077.94. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and save this. And this is important. If you don't save it, then it won't allow you to import. So because I'm using Excel, I'm going to use the little import here. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to go ahead and choose the file that I want to play with. And I'm going to say upload. Typically, just ignore that and just say, okay, you're updating existing. So then these are the headings on my spreadsheet. And I need to map each one of those with what's available in Acumatica. So document date, we're going to look for a date field, a transaction date. Original document number, that would be like the invoice number from your vendor. Document reference. And receipt, disbursements, description. Let's use the transaction description. And I'm going to say okay. And I created some transactions into that Excel file that that don't exist in my bank account. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this. As you can see, I have a ton of transactions here. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then I am going to go ahead and process transactions. I think my system is pushing the capabilities of my Wi-Fi here. So I'm going to go ahead to process transactions. It's complaining because I've been playing with this multiple times. So it thinks there's another reconciliation out there for the same period. But you wouldn't have that problem because you wouldn't be playing. You would be doing the real reconciliation. Okay, so let's start with some really cool things. Let's go to create payment. And I know that at the bottom here, I have a transaction here that doesn't exist in the system. Oh.
Patricia, we have a question. Do you want to save them all for the end, or do you want to get them as you're going?
Go ahead if you want.
Okay, we've got a question that asked, how does the import bank transactions work with bank feeds or in place of the import transaction?
I will talk about bank feeds in a meeting. In a
minute? Okay, perfect.
I am not going to go over bank feeds, but just know that if you subscribe to those, there's been connections made to multiple bank accounts or bank entities, I guess, and you can bring the transactions automatically without having to do the manual import that I just did. So first of all, I can go ahead and do auto match. Let me see why this is not match to multiple payments. So I have one there. Why is it not allowing me to create this? So this transaction here does not exist, but I can go ahead and create it in Acumatica because I know it doesn't exist. Okay, here we go. So remember those entry types that we talked about earlier? So if I say create, then I'm going to specify which module. So this is coming from the cash account. The payment date is going to use the date of my transaction. And then I need to pick an entry type from the entry types that we've created earlier. So this is a bank fee. And it automatically creates a transaction for me. This is very simple. As you can see, we can create some rules that automatically will create the transactions without much interaction. I thought I turned my email off. I did. So why am I still getting this? Okay. So that's one thing that I can do. It's pretty cool. Then the other thing is to match payments and match to payments. So I can go ahead and say auto match, and this is going to go through all the transactions and match every single transaction that it's exactly the same date. We can create some rules of what constitutes an okay match. What is my tolerance for differences between what the bank is saying and what I have in Acumatica? For example, dates is a typical one. So as you can see, it matched a ton of transactions, but it left some that are unmatched. So let's go and take a look at the ones that are not matched. Here's one, monthly interest. And it found a couple of transactions in Acumatica. One is a GL transaction and one is an AP check. And both of them are for $50,000. So we need to decide which one of those it's going to match to. Here it's telling me the percentage of relevance. And where does that come from? It comes from my settings, my match settings. So let's take a look at that real quick. So it thinks the one on the GL transaction is more relevant than the one from AP. So one of the relevance things that I have set up is disbursements the days before the bank transaction date. So if I create it in Acumatica, I only want to see up to 5 days or 2 days after. And again, you can see here. And then what we also do is we tell the system what percentage, what is the weight of certain things. So the payment and expense receipt relevance, the reference number is at 70%. So that's pretty high, which when you're reconciling a credit card, the idea that you're going to have the same reference number on your Acumatica than the credit card is very unlikely. So I would not use that high of a weight on that. But you guys decide what is the relevance and the weight that you want to give to each one of these factors. So in this case, the reason this one is getting a higher relevance is because of the date. The date matches exactly the transaction. This one is a day before. I would have to believe that there's a duplicate, but for now, we're going to go ahead and match that one. And you will notice that it will match it here as well. And it's no longer giving me a warning. So now I can go to the next one that is unmatched. And here we are. I spent $1,500 on Home Depot. So I can match two invoices. So maybe we use a credit card, but we forgot to enter the payment into Acumatica. So I'm going to say this is an AP invoice. And I don't have an entry type. No, I don't want to create. I'm sorry. You can enter a business account. Oh, come on. My mouse is playing games with me. So now these are the AP bills that I can match to. This was February 27, $1,500, Home Depot. And I can go here and start taking a look at. Again, remember that you can move these columns because I would never do this far away. So one thing we can do is match to multiple documents. So there's two documents here that are a possibility, but there's another one here. However, the date is April. So let's keep looking and see the description of these transactions. They're both for a vendor. Ah, there it is. There's my Home Depot transactions. There's two of them. So now, because I'm saying match to multiple documents, I can go ahead and click each one of them, and you will see that my transaction amount is $1,500, but I start, well, what happened there? Another option is already showing. Oh, let's match this. That's because I was playing with this last night, so that's my problem. But would you trust me that this will work? I was playing with this document last night, and probably I created the payment and have not released it. So my apologies for that. But these two would be equivalent to the $1,500 that are sitting here. So then once I am done, there's another transaction here that's not matching. And in this case, I don't have a description, but 229, 2,400, and nope. So here you can decide how you want to match it, or if really there isn't a match, then you can go ahead and investigate. So this is, in my opinion, really, really cool functionality. Some of it came out on 2021 or 2, so fairly new. Once I have finished matching everything, I'm going to go back to my reconciliation statement. Oh my goodness. And well, it's sorry. I must have not. Oh, I need to release the cash transactions that are sitting there. I missed something. What did I miss? There we go. I'm going to go ahead and process. We have a couple of transactions, obviously, that are not matched at this time, but you can see how this would be extremely useful, and it would actually save you a ton of time when doing bank reconciliations. Laura, if you want, if you have any questions, I'll take those.
Let's see, we've got something in chat. No, we had our question from Rosemary. I invite anyone that has questions to please include them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll be happy to answer those. Or if
so the bank feed, The bank feeds is an additional module that you can purchase. It's connected to Plaid, and there's multiple banks that are using that service. And what it is, it's constantly pushing transactions into the screen so that so that you can basically do automatically what we did manually here. One other thing that I didn't mention is, and I wasn't prepared to show here today, is that you can use the mobile Acumatica app to create or to to take pictures or receipts of payments that you did with the corporate credit card and enter those that way, and those would show up in the credit card reconciliation as well. So really, it's making reconciling very easily.
Okay, we do
Is there any
have,
more
there
questions?
is. So if the transactions imported from the bank statement doesn't find a match in Acumatica, are you able to just, while I'm scrolling, sorry about that, Shannon, are you able to just use that transaction to create a new transaction in Acumatica and assign it to the appropriate GL account, put a
Yes.
description, etc.?
So remember, the way to do that is you have to have an entry type. So let's recap what we can do. Obviously, we're going to import this batch, or we're going to get the feed from the bank feeds and automatically match what matches. Then there's a handful of transactions that do not match. Those transactions, what we can do is we can create a payment. We can look in AP or AR to see if there's a document, an invoice to a customer or an invoice to a vendor or a bill to a vendor that matches the amount, and then it will actually match the payment with the invoices that are sitting in Acumatica. And the third one is that, as I illustrated, if I have a payment for $1,500, but I don't have a transaction for $1,500, then I can match my AP documents, multiple AP documents, to my $1,500 and do it all from here, from the bank transaction reconciliation. Any more questions? I think this is really cool. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Shannon. Yep. Shannon said you answered her question. Great functionality.
Okay. So this should be updated now. There you go. So it has cleared all the transactions that we matched. And then last but not least is we can toggle cleared. So it can go ahead and reconcile all the transactions that have been cleared. And then we'll go from there. I am open for questions. Again, I know that a lot of you are not using this, and it just makes your life so much easier. Let us help you in getting this set up so that, or, you know, on playing with it so that you can figure out exactly how it works and you can use it online. I would definitely recommend doing some tests before you try it on the live production database. But
so we do have a couple more questions, Patricia. So Michelle, yes, we will be getting a copy of the recording out to everyone who registered for this. And then Gracie Young asked, how are deposits of multiple customer payments matched to the bank statement? And then if checks are cleared as whole and not by the number of invoices paid on the invoices, that's kind of an open question.
Okay, so there is some additional functionality in our banking module that is actually pretty cool, which allows me to, when I create a cash account, it allows me to create a clearing account. So if you get 10 checks from 10 different customers, but you're going to deposit all 10 checks into one deposit for the into the bank, you want to be able to enter those 10 checks and you know, apply them to each customer, but you want to deposit one deposit into the bank. And the way we do that is that we have this clearing account, and in this case, this is my checking account, and I'm associating this checking account with this clearing account, the 10400. So then what happens is I receive checks from my customers. I am going to deposit them into my clearing account. And when I'm done, I'm going to go to my clearing account and make one deposit into the bank. So here, we're very original here. Everything starts with AA to make it simple. So here, we're going to create a payment for, what does this person owe? $4316.66. And let's go ahead and move this over here so that we can see it. And I'm going to do that. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I don't understand why I turned my email off and it's still showing all this. So I apologize for that. So I applied that. I am going to deposit this not into my checking account, but into my clearing account. And deposit funds. And I'm going to go ahead and release this. And then I'm going to create another one for a different customer. Tim, do you have a favorite customer that I can use?
That's the one that works the best.
Okay, we'll use it again then. Just assume it's somebody else. And we have 200, 224.37. And we're going to go ahead and pay this invoice. Again, we're going to deposit it into our clearing account. I'm going to go ahead and release. And now that I have entered my checks into my clearing account, I am ready to take both of those checks and deposit them into my bank account as one deposit, because we want to emulate what we do in the system to whatever shows up on your bank statement. So I'm going to go into my banking. I'm going to go to bank deposits. And I'm going to create a new one. And my cash account is the 10200. And deposit date was today. The reference number, whatever you want to put in there. And the drop account is my undeposited funds. So when I do that, now I can go ahead and say add payment. And I should be able to see those two payments that I had in here. So what I can do is I can click here. I'm going to add both of those and close. And now my deposit into the bank will be for the total amount of checks that I received on that day. I'm going to remove that from hold. I'm going to release. And if I go to my cash account, I should see a deposit for $4,541. So if I go to my reconciliation and I'm gonna just look at this one date. Oh, it's gonna give me everything before. So let's sort it descending here. And there is my deposit for $4,541.03. Again, this is functionality that not every ERP system in the mid-market has, and it's really cool functionality. So one of the key things, if you're going to do this, is do not default the cash account on your customers, because then you're very likely to deposit them into the wrong account. Any more questions? Comments?
Nope, that cleared all of them from the Q&A side.
Are you guys excited about this like I am? Is that sick or what? Anyways, that is all I had for you guys. I hope it was useful. Our goal with these webinars is really to open your eyes and show you and teach you how to better utilize the software that you already own. So let us know if we can help you. Again, most of you are on customer care, and that's included in our customer care. And if you guys don't have any more questions, then we're gonna give you, what, 17 minutes back of your day.
And if something comes to you after the webinar, feel free to reach out and let me know the questions and I can get those answered for you.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Patricia.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for taking the time to spend it with us and learn more about the bank rec. I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.